Massa looks back over his season so far as he prepares for Singapore and the remaining 7 races of a season that is getting ever more exciting.
Two very good races in Spa and Monza. Can we make it the 3rd time in a row in Singapore?
I hope. That's touch wood. I mean, I think it was a very good races in Spa and Monza. We didn't win the race, but it was very good points. And really looking forward to have a great race in Singapore. It's not really a track that I was very lucky in the past. I was even pole position in 2008, winning the race. So, but I was not very lucky. So now we need to try to be lucky and to put all things together to have a great result there.
Is racing at night a problem, or the light is enough?
No, it's not a problem. I think for sure it's not like the day, but you have a good visibility. I mean, you have a good light that you can see everything you need, so it's not a problem.
How do you cope with the different schedule from the normal race weekend?
We use the European time. I mean, we go to sleep 5 a.m. and we wake up 1 p.m. and so we use exactly the European time. So the race is 8 o'clock p.m., which is like 2 p.m. here. So we use exactly the time that we use here during the day, so it's not it's no different. It is strange, but it's not a problem.
The track is very demanding from a physical point of view. Do you think it's one of the most tiring race in the calendar?
I think so, because it's not very physical, the track, but it's physical in the direction that you need incredible concentration, because it's a very difficult track. A lot of corners, wall, everything together, you know, evening. So, and it's very hot, so it's very humid. So I think when you put all these things together, so it's a difficult race in this direction. And it's always the longest race. So the race there is always 2 hours. So it's very difficult in this direction.
From the aerodynamic point of view, Singapore is very similar to Monaco and Hungary. Based on those 2 races this season, how do you rate the chances of Scuderia in Singapore?
Well, in Monaco we had a good race. In Hungary, not great race. So I hope it's more like Monaco, even better than Monaco. But it's it's similar direction. A lot of downforce, the maximum downforce you can in the car, and it will be very difficult on the tires as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the tires. Do you think this year we could expect less degradation and therefore less pit stops, or you expect the same picture as 2011?
I expect the same picture. I expect a high degradation. We have the same tires, soft and super soft. So I expect much different compared to Monza, Spa, much more pit stops and higher degradation, similar to last year, I think.
KERS and DRS didn't provide any help to have more overtakings in Singapore?
Much more than Monaco, definitely, but this anyway is difficult.
A question which is very common this part of the season. Any news about your future?
Not yet, so for sure the result helps a bit, but anyway, I mean, let's keep pushing, you know, having a good race, and I hope it would not be so long to have news for my future. So let's concentrate on that and try to carry on in this direction.
But is this uncertainty giving you any extra pressure?
Well, I mean, not in the race really concentrate on the future. I mean, because I have so many things to do to concentrate on the job, you know, that you don't think about, and you don't even need to think about the future when you're driving the car, you know. For sure, I mean, when you're trying to do like a very aggressive, using a lot of risk, you know, maybe you think about, because it's important to think about at the end to finish the race, you know, as well. So, but you're not in the car thinking about your future.
This race will be very special because it will be the number 500 of the partnership between Shell and Ferrari. From a driver point of view, what you can tell us about this partnership?
Well, I have a bit of experience, so I was also on the 400 races for Shell in Ferrari, and I think, you know, it's so important, you know, so special, important, and the Ferrari is not just a sponsor, you know, it's a partner that gives you a lot of performance to the car, a lot of development, you know. So when you improve the car from the first race to the last race, and you're improving every race, you're improving many areas, but in this side, on the fuel, but also on the oil, engine oil, pressure and everything, is where you can improve a lot. So is a very important job we're doing together with all the engineers from Ferrari and Shell. And you know, I think when you see from where I started and where we are now, I think when you see the development, is unbelievable.
We go behind the scenes to see what Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa do in Maranello, as the Scuderia Ferrari sporting director, Massimo Rivola, explains what the race drivers get up to in their working life.
We normally have the drivers here in Maranello every 2 weeks, and obviously we try to concentrate all the activities, like technical activities, PR activities, so for marketing activities, for sponsor, and also press stuff, interviews and stuff like that. Obviously drivers like to do some activities related to the track. You know that we have Fiorano here, so having some cars that are made made that particularly funny to drive on the track, that is one of their activities they prefer to do, both for develop our road cars and also to have fun and bring some guests beside them. I was actually one of that lucky guy, and I tell you that when you are beside these drivers, you can see the difference from a Formula 1 driver and a normal one. From the technical side, obviously one of the most important activities is the simulator training. I have to say that Felipe is one of the best drivers in that, in terms of keep working on the simulator, and this is for sure helps the development of the car. But there are also some obviously meetings with the engineers. It depends obviously when is the driver here in Maranello for debriefings or briefings for the following races, new aero package. But also seat fitting, look about the new car for the following year. So, I mean, having the drivers here is a sort of additional motivation for us, for our engineers, and also for the whole company, because it's a sort of boost, because we want to give them the best car possible. When we start doing the plan of the activities of the drivers here in Maranello, we always have to find some room for some funny activities, in particular for sports activities. We have a nice gym, a very nice gym here in Maranello, but also we have a nice small pitch for football games, and so this is also a nice activity to do for us, for the team, in order to bond a bit more. The crew if needed. Obviously we care a lot about not having, let's say, behaving during the match, but it's something that they like to do, and it is nice to know that the drivers like to spend a lot of time with the team. We could say that there is another important activity that is not technical, is not part of the normal PR stuff, but we like, and also drivers like, to go around the factory and see the people like the composite department, the aero department, and all that kind of people that don't have the luxury or pain, in my case, to work so close to the race drivers. So it's something that is very good from both sides. I think it's an additional motivation for our employees. And I think that also being Ferrari as a company very closely between Gestione Sportiva and Gestione Industriale, it is nice also for our drivers to see the production chains, and I think it's an additional motivation tool that we have to keep using, and it is really nice to know that they like to do it.
In this section dedicated to the Formula One alphabet, with Scuderia Ferrari technicians, today we look into the meaning of new words.
Okay, idle is the rotational speed of the engine crankshaft when it's disengaged from the powertrain for our cars from the clutch. The target speed of the idle could vary from 2000 rpm up to 4000, even more, depending on different requests from electronic guys or also hydraulic group. On the car there is an ECU that has a software called idle control that works in order that when you disengage the clutch, bring the engine from a certain rev that could be 7000 rpm up to the target, that is what we said, something around 3000. This control is very important because if this control is not working properly, when you pull the clutch, the engine could drop very quickly and you could have a high risk of engine stall. So finally, when you are going after the formation lap, when you are to the grid, you could leave the car on the grid, and it's very dangerous.
What's the curb? The curb represents the extremity of the racing track, and it's the same word what we use for a pavement. It represents the part which tells the driver the absolute limits that he can use. The drivers have to use the curbs, although they're not the most comfortable place to go, and they probably have a little bit less grip. During the weekend, the curbs rub us up, they get more and more grip, and it means that the drivers can go harder and harder onto the curbs. The car's to be set for the curbs in a certain way, because a stiff car won't ride the curbs very well, and this puts the driver off, and he won't go on them and he loses time. So part of the engineer's compromise with the setup is that he has to get a car that goes very well on this part, but also very well on this part, the curb.
The wiring loom is a collection of parts, mainly cables, boxes, connectors, and the purpose is to connect the main units, electronic units of the car with the other part of the car, like sensors and engine, gearbox, differential. Then the wiring loom starts from the center of the car, where the major units are normally fitted, and it goes to the front of the car, for example, connecting the pedals, the front hubs, the wing. And the main part is going on the rear of the car, connecting the engine and gearbox, differential, the rear hubs and the rear wing. The wiring loom could be similar to the nervous system of the human body, and in effect it connects the electronic units, that is similar to the brain, where all the strategies and the parameters are stored, to the sensing connector, the sensors, that is similar to the sensing area of the body, and to the engine and gearbox, that are the muscles of the car. If to have an idea of the complexity of the wiring loom, You can consider that actual Formula One is not possible to run without the wiring, and the wiring on the actual Formula One connects more or less 20 units to 30-40 actuators and to 130 sensors, more or less. And the length of the complete length of the cable is more than 2 kilometers in one car. Then this gives you an idea of the complexity, and also a big attention on the designing of the wiring loom is done to have the maximum of reliability, but also to reduce the weight, because it's one of the major points, and also to reduce the dimension of the wiring. To have an idea, an actual wire, complete wire, is less than 10 kilograms. The wiring loom, our wiring loom, is designed completely in Ferrari. We have more or less 10 people in the electronic department to do that, and is produced also by external supplier, and completely is checked by us completely before to be fitted in the car to run in the race.
Scuderia Ferrari Racing News will be back on Friday, September 28th, with the preview of the Japanese Grand Prix.